point was that for many women, there was a point of life when there was some kind of a struggle. That was the first struggle that maybe you faced in life. That was the first obstacle. Maybe you wanted to be someone, and there was a first obstacle that you faced. And if you didn't overcome this obstacle, maybe this set you up in life. Welcome to Eva Eckert Show. I am a Polish immigrant with a big heart, strong accent, kick-ass husband, and 2 awesome kids. I inspire women around the world to take bold action towards their dreams, passions, and desires, so finally their life becomes more meaningful and fulfilled. I believe that the baddest superhero of your unique purpose is within all of us, and we should share it with the world to make the world a better place. May this show help you finally discover the power of self-belief, self-discipline, so you can stop making excuses and create the life you truly desire and deserve by being the upgraded version of you. Welcome to another episode of the Eva Eckert podcast, guys. I'm super excited for you to be here. So stick around, because you remember in the previous episode, I mentioned that today I am going to ask you some different questions, and it's actually connected to what I left off with the other episode. So pause for a moment, this video, and find a picture of yourself when you were 7 years old. This is the exercise that we did with my group coaching. And I tell you, what a breakthrough. And the reason I'm asking you to do this is because there were some wants in your life as a little kid. When we grow up, there is more needs than wants. Are you getting where I'm going with this? So if we want something, most likely is that you're gonna stick to it unconditionally. I want to do this. I want to lose weight. I want to have a family. I want to have a bigger house. I want to have this, and that, versus I need. And the reason for it is because want is an abundant state of mind. Need is not. Need comes from lack of something. I need this. So if you try to think I need this, meaning that you coming from lack of something. So when we come from lack of something, the more of this is coming to our lives. So if you found this picture of yourself, look, if you don't have 7 years old, think about 10, 12, not too old, because I want you to connect with that little child and ask yourself that question. Who did I want it to be when I'm looking at the picture? How I was? What were the wants that I had? What was I like? Because so many times we forget about this. Again, the adult life, for many of you, maybe are not as fun as you wished to be. But guys, it's all about creation. It's all about really finding the true meaning of who you are, what do you want, what are your hobbies, what are your passions, what are your interests, what is the life that you really truly wanted to be and have, what is the freedom of life that you've craved as a little kid, because that's what it was. When I go back to my young years, I remember I was living in Poland, and going to school wasn't a fun for me. I felt like I never really fit in. A lot of times I was comparing myself to others. I had a great one friend, and back in the day it was just different. I was just telling my daughter when I wanted to see her, and she was actually living literally 5 minutes away from me, I would grab the phone. Of course, I already have her number memorized. So I would dial the number, not buttons. We would dial the number, and I would memorize all the numbers to my friends or my family. And I would say, you know what, meeting in 5 minutes, we going. We were outdoor kids. We were running around. I remember being so creative, outgoing, loving outdoors, loving movement. My grandpa, you heard me talking about my grandpa. My grandpa inspired me to work out. Him, always remember him as a little kid working out early in the morning behind that window in the door to his bedroom, and during his breaks he would come out to the kitchen, cut his bread, cut his vegetables, the healthy food, healthy eating, workouts, the good state of mind in the beginning of the day. That's what I remember. That's what I actually programmed myself to be, that early bird, to work out, right? That's what it was. And it's crazy. My chair just made that funky noise. But who were you like? What were you like when you were little? Like, start describing this, because let me tell you, the breakthroughs in my group sessions were incredible. First of all, it made us to connect with each other even more, because we were actually going back to the roots. And I'm not going to be giving you exactly details of the conversation, because that's not the point. The point was that for many women, there was a point of life when there was some kind of a struggle. That was the first struggle that maybe you faced in life. That was the first obstacle. Maybe you wanted to be someone, and there was a first obstacle that you faced. And if you didn't overcome this obstacle, maybe this set you up in life as a pattern. That's what I'm saying. Maybe someone or something happened that stopped you from doing that passion. That's another thing to think of. Or maybe you've realized that you can't do that thing, but really you're good at something else, and it changed direction, changed the path of who you're supposed to be. So I'm going to give you an example. This is pretty funny. So I loved music. I always was moved by music. And back in the day, I had literally 2 tapes, music tapes, as I remember. The cassette player, the little. Probably some of you are listening and thinking, what on earth is she talking about? There were cassette players, guys. There was a very thin black tape going through inside, and there were 2 holes. Literally, you could put your fingers through it. And if this tape got destroyed, you couldn't listen to the music. Many times, the actually music equipment would malfunction and would cut that tape inside. And you would be like, damn, pissed off, try to pull this thing out of it, and this whole thing would ruin. So what kind of music I had? I had Madonna. Oh yeah, I grew up listening to her. The Holiday, the famous song. And then I had Michael Jackson. Then eventually came on board George Michael. I grew up in a communist country, and we really didn't have much growing up. And I think that's what always going back makes you more humble. Understanding it's like your roots, where you're coming from, appreciating more the people, the things that we've had. And as I'm thinking about it, listening to the songs, I would grab a jump rope. Jump rope had wooden handles. I would run around the house and sing. And let me tell you, the words that I would repeat many times did not make any sense. There was no English. I don't know what this was. Probably holiday was, and celebrate. That was something that I would remember and actually caught from listening to the tape, because I had no clue about English language yet back then. So that was this. Then going back a few years, when I was about 2-3 years old, my grandfather would give me an assignment, would tell me, you're gonna learn this song, and tomorrow or a week later, I'm gonna record you. Deal? And I would say, deal. Or I would learn a poem, or I would learn something in my kindergarten, and he would record me. And the funny thing is, like, when I put on these tapes, I hear my voice, that little voice, and then A lot of times I was like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't. And grandpa is like encouraging me, and you hear me like just not saying anything, and you hear some noises of that 2, 3 year old making. And some days were amazing. Some days I was just like rocking. That was awesome. I was like, yeah, let's go. And I would sing, and grandpa would record me, or sometimes would be like, honey, a little bit better. So look, this is all you. This is all a part of you. So me performing, I was a performer, but I never had a voice. It never occurred to me that I should be a singer, even though maybe deep inside of me, I was like, yeah, I wanted to be famous like this. But performer not necessarily has to be a musician, can be an artist of any kind, can be a trainer, can be a speaker, can be someone that performing in front of the audience, any kind of performance. So I became a coach. You know, when I was 20 years old, a little bit older, I became a trainer, and I would perform in front of groups, 20, 30, 40 people, 50 people, 100 people. And I loved it. The inspiration that I would give to people, the motivation was something, such a driving part on my end. I absolutely loved this. This was my passion, because then the music was a combination of it. That's why I love music. I love dance. I signed up in the past for all different classes. I've tried salsa, I've tried swing dance, and I absolutely loved it. So you got to connect to the roots, and you got to connect to the roots because maybe that little inner child of yours is lost in today's world. Maybe that little inner child of yours that you've been so connected with on the mindset level and the heart level has been gone, and you feel horribly now. You don't feel alive. You don't feel joy. You don't feel congruent with who you are. Maybe this part is missing in your life. That's why you may be miserable. So connecting with that part and asking yourself, like, why did I quit on that dream? The other part of this is maybe because you've quit. Again, it created a path in your life that you always quit. That you always quitting. You never finish what you're supposed to be doing. Because an obstacle shows up in your life, and then you don't do anything about it. An obstacle shows up and you're like, I gotta quit. Because something in the past created the path in your brain that you're supposed to quit anytime it gets harder. Those are the lessons, guys. So look, share this episode with your loved ones. Share this episode with your kids. Share this episode with your friend, with your enemy, with your team. Or maybe you're going to do this exercise, but you need to lead them like I'm leading you. What is the purpose of it? To really find the joy again. To find what you want, not what you need. Again, want comes from abundant life. The need comes from the lack. So again, connect, find the picture, make comments on this episode, and remember that you are awesome. You are amazing. You are amazing just as you are, but continue with those dreams. Continue writing these amazing goals, these audacious, big, hairy, crazy goals that you have in life. Think like that kid that you were at one point, because why wouldn't you? The fact that we are older doesn't change any fact. You should be playing. You should be doing your hobbies and enjoying your life. And if you click in the bottom of this episode, you're going to get some amazing 40-day habit challenge. It's on me. It's free. Normally we sell this, but I'm giving you completely this 40-day of changing your life to become a better version of you. So guys, again, thank you so much for watching, liking, making comments on this episode. And remember that the superhero is within you. You just need to rediscover it. May your passion and curiosity be endless. May your enthusiasm be infectious. And may your final outcome be of service to others. Each of us makes the difference in the universe. I make mine, and the universe is awaiting you. No excuses.